So hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. I'm Lucy and today I am bringing you a video all about my favourite sci-fi reads. So I've never been a huge science fiction fan, but I've been reading quite a lot of science fiction novels recently and I just want to talk to you about them. So when Simon & Schuster approached me about a book called The Diabolic that they thought that I would love, I immediately wanted to read it because current sci-fi obsessive right here. And on reading that book, I wanted to do a video about my favourite science fiction reads. So thank you to Simon & Schuster for kindly approaching me and for sponsoring this video all about science fiction. So my first choice, I mentioned The Diabolic earlier on. It has to be The Diabolic by SJ Kincaid. Oh my god. I am so obsessed with this series, which is a good job because this is the first one. It's just come out in paperback now so you can buy it, and the sequel called The Empress is coming out in October. It really reminded me of the Hunger Games but in space and with a completely different set of circumstances. So this novel is basically about this kind of civilization. It's way in the future basically. People don't really live on planets anymore, especially the aristocracy. They live in kind of space stations, kind of out in the galaxies, and then the rest of society called the excess, so basically people with no power, people with no positions, they predominantly live on planets, and the aristocracy, you know, don't know what that feels like. And they live in space stations where their entire environment is controlled for them. They can modify their general appearance. They can, you know, get medical treatment from med bots, as they're called, medical bots. They can change their environment. Everything is carefully coordinated and put together by technology. Also designed by technology were these things called diabolics. So basically the aristocracy basically engineered these creatures called diabolics who are basically like bodyguards. They've been brought up by trainers to be super strong, super fast, super controlled, and also super dedicated to protecting that one person they are bonded to. So basically you don't want to get in the way of a diabolic. So the story follows this diabolic called Nemesis, and she has been bonded to a senator's daughter called Sidonia. And from the moment she's bonded with Sidonia, that's it. She is going to protect her. She would even kill Sidonia's own family. Except Nemesis doesn't really have any humanity, she thinks. Sidonia, who is the person that she's forsworn to protect, believes that Nemesis has humanity, but Nemesis is, you know, 100% sure. She's like, listen, I can't feel those feelings for you because I don't have feelings. And basically Sidonia is part of the Empyrean family, who are kind of in trouble with the Emperor. So when the Emperor summons Sidonia to come to his kind of court, Sidonia's family, her mother and father, send Nemesis in her place. They modify Nemesis to look like Sidonia, and Nemesis takes on Sidonia's personality when she's in this court so that Sidonia isn't killed, essentially. And what happens is basically this entire kind of web of intrigue, betrayal, you know, Nemesis having to be Sidonia, be this aristocrat, this human, and she doesn't know how to do that. Nemesis tries to become human, tries to mimic, you know, human characteristics, whilst also possibly finding out that she might have some of those naturally herself. So I believe this is science fiction at its best, and I can't wait for The Empress. Basically, this is a little bit like Sarah J Maas in space. I would recommend. So on to another book that I read on holiday this year. It is The Power by Naomi Alderman. So a lot of you might be like, huh, that's not science fiction. I would class this as science fiction, mainly because the whole premise of this novel is about a supernatural, sciencey power. This book is about how all over the world women are slowly getting this power, this electrical power. It's starting in teenage girls, and teenage girls have the ability, using their power, to bring that power into older women too. So this power is spreading throughout all the women in this world, and the men don't like that. And this is just a brilliantly told twist on feminist literature, essentially, because this is basically a wry look at human history, I guess. The women and the men in this book are trying to understand where this power has come from, but also it slowly descends into women taking full authority over the world, even getting to the point where they're starting to think, are men even necessary in this? And this was the most unique novel I've read in a long, long, long time. This was a difficult read in a lot of places. Like, I felt that I was reading through my fingers almost, but it is a brilliant read. Okay, so my third science fiction recommendation for you guys, if you haven't read it yet, most of you probably will, is The Host by Stephenie Meyer. I know Stephenie Meyer wrote Twilight, which, you know, I can't complain about because I was obsessed with that book and that whole franchise for a good part of like 5-6 years. So it took me ages to read The Host, mainly because I thought it can't possibly live up to Twilight, can it? And then one day I decided to read The Host, and oh my god, this book blew me away. So basically the plot summary is that this is a world where aliens exist and they are looking to take over bodies to basically live in. Our main character Mel, or Melanie, she gets taken over by this alien or this soul called Wanderer or Wanda. And usually the host, so the person whose body it was, usually just fades away. But in this case, Melanie is still there. So Wanda and Melanie are in the same body, both conscious, and they kind of like go through this journey together. Then Wanda starts liking the guy that Melanie used to like. It was just a roller coaster ride of science fiction-y goodness. Okay, so along the alien route, I'm gonna stick with this alien route for a sec. My fourth favourite science fiction book is The Fifth Wave. This is kind of an obvious choice because it seems like it's everyone's favourite science fiction read. So let me just read you what the back's about. So it says, the first wave took out 500,000 people. The second wave put that number to shame. The third wave lasted a little longer. 12 weeks, 4 billion dead. In the fourth wave, you can't trust that people are still people. And the fifth wave, no one knows, but it's coming. So basically this is kind of similar to The Host, where you can't trust if a person's still a person because they might have an alien being inside of them. This is more like about the survival of humankind. It's on a grander scale than The Host, I would say. And basically I adored this because, like I said, it has everything that I like in a book: action, adventure, great storytelling, romance, and it's a brilliant, brilliant book. And the next book you might not have heard a lot about, because I didn't until I got sent a proof. And this book is already out, so you can go and buy it now. It is called Empress of a Thousand Skies, and this is by Rhoda Belleza. This is YA science fiction, and it's also one of those books that is very, very kind of epic sci-fi. It's very big on a grander scale. So let me just read a little bit of the back to you, because I would try and explain it myself, but I'd probably be rambling. It wouldn't be very succinct. Rhi, better known as Crown Princess Rhiannon Tan, is the sole surviving heir to a powerful dynasty. She'll stop at nothing to avenge her family and claim her throne. Fugitive, Ali has risen above his war refugee origins to find fame as the dashing star of a holo vision show. But when he's falsely accused of killing Rhi, he's forced to prove his innocence to save his reputation and his life. Madman. With planets on the brink of war, Rhi and Ali are thrown together to confront a ruthless evil that threatens the fate of the entire galaxy. The one word I would describe this book as is ambitious. There's those dual points of view between Rhi and Ali, and they are different stories basically up until the end where they kind of converge, but they're essentially two different plot lines, two different stories, and the scope and the world building in this is phenomenal, especially because it's not that big a book. Like, you could read this really quickly, and what's quite impressive is how quickly Rhoda Belleza just crafts this world. You can't stop reading it basically, you can't tear your eyes off the page. And it's even more impressive that this is a debut as well, because it's quite on an epic scale, it's very ambitious, but it completely works. There's also going to be a sequel to this book called Blood of a Thousand Stars, and the cover, guys, is probably even more beautiful than this, if that's possible. So guys, there we go. Those are my top 5 kind of science fiction recommendations for you at the minute. Please do leave your recommendations for me down in the comments, because as I said, I want to read more science fiction. Also, if you haven't yet checked out the Diabolic, please do, because I don't think you'll regret it, and I want to fangirl with you all about this book. So do let me know your thoughts as well if you enjoyed the Diabolic. I'd love to hear what you thought of it. And if you enjoyed this video and these recommendations, please do give this video a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe for weekly bookish videos. And until next time guys, bye!